Alrighty, guys, welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. I'm your host, Patrick Viahost. Today we are talking about the Abby and Libby case out of Delphi, Indiana. This is part 6. We are basically going through everything that I have on the case relating to the Delphi murders. That way you can kind of see everything for yourself and make a more, I guess, educated decision. You can see the case for what it really is, not for what it's become. And what it's become is really a defense team's manifestation. Kind of enabling somebody who is most likely guilty to reach out into the public, right? His attorneys are a direct representation of him and what he hopes to accomplish during this process. What's up, Christine? CJK, Night Shadow. Jill, what's up? Hathers Mir. Andy, welcome. Kels, Jody, Silas. Karen, how are you? Tammy, welcome in. Good to see you again, Cindy. Sorry I was late. I was getting the dogs situated. They didn't want to cooperate with me today. It's a really nice day, so they just want to hang outside, but they got in trouble yesterday for digging holes. I don't trust them. Patricia, good to see you. Sensei. Doris, Jennifer. V, what up? Sparky, Beth. You tell them, Jennifer. Don't be a scrub. What's going on? Beach Fairy, Boston Christian. Melissa Tattoo, how are you? Jimmy, hello. Welcome in, everybody. Okay, does anybody remember where we finished off? With part 5. I want to say it was the Monon High Bridge image folder, I think. Yep, that's right, because we looked at the Mears lot, and we were right here. So just some images of the Monon High Bridge that I've gathered over the years. Sarcastic, what's up? Thank you, V. Some of these, Deb from Deb's True Crime Notebook sent me some of these. Might be these two. It's kind of creepy to know Richard Allen is the main suspect to the point where they have him in custody awaiting trial. And after the murders of Abby and Libby, his daughter was taking photos on this bridge. If he's If he's the killer, that's disgusting. For him to drag this out the way he is, and I know some people out there believe he's innocent, and that's good. That's kind of how justice works, right? It's like scale system, and you want it to be balanced. So I'm glad people are donating to him, doing all they. I'm glad he has support. And I have faith that they'll find the right jury. I know I would never be able to sit on a jury like that. I'm 100% biased. So they'll find a good jury, something that both sides can agree on. And if he's an innocent man, or even if he doesn't have to be innocent, there just has to be reasonable doubt. Like, you need to make sure this dude's guilty. You can't just put out a bunch of shit like the defense is doing with Brad Holder and Patrick Westfall, and then start a witch hunt. Like, you need to prove it in that courtroom, or he should walk. And then they go back to the drawing board and see if they can get more evidence if he's still their guy. So burden of proof is on the prosecution. I say let's give him a chance. Let's hear him out. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is where we finished up. Surprised we're already at the M's. What's up, Chico's? Chico's mummy. Even more disgusting is the pic of his daughter wearing the replica Memorial Day t-shirt Libby was wearing. Yeah, a lot of people don't like it when Kathy Allen is mentioned, but we don't know what her part in all this is yet. So we can't go around accusing her of anything, or even, she could be a victim in this. But people are going around talking about Becky Patty in a negative light. I don't see how that's any different. And also, the majority of people feel something is wrong with this case. It's gone unsolved for so many years for a reason. Now, a lot of these fanatics or radicalized folks here in the community, they say, well, that weird feeling that you're getting, that vibe, is corruption. It's police corruption and family involvement. Or else they would have caught this guy. We should have had a suspect in custody at least the first year, if not the first day. But you have to ask yourself, how did this go unsolved for so long? Everybody said within Delphi, hey, I don't recognize this guy, but if that was my husband, my brother, I would recognize him. So people were shocked by that. How can somebody not be turning this guy in? Well, I still have those questions. But first, they have to convict Richard Allen and prove to the jury that he was Bridge Guy, kidnapped those girls, which led to their deaths. So once they prove that, it's open season, because that leaves us with only one answer. The reason that nobody tipped him in, because the very people that knew who Bridge Guy was said nothing, even though they knew the tragedy and what happened out there. So everybody's asking, how did this go 6.5 years? And it was Richard Allen at the CVS. Well, if he's convicted, there's only one answer for that. And when the time is right, we'll address it. Good to see you, Candace. What are you up to, V? Well, my question is, how many times did he go back to the trails? How many times did he go back there? Was that him at the 2018 presser, the one they did on the Monon High Bridge Trail? Good to see you, Diamonds. Doris Brockman. Yeah, definitely. The fact that he would allow that, well, and it's not like he could say anything. It's not like Richard Allen could be like, hey, take that off. I don't want you wearing that. It's disrespectful. Well, why would it be disrespectful? It'd be like almost him snitching on himself. Yeah, his daughter definitely, I don't think knew, unless she found out later on, right? I was always very suspicious once they arrested Richard Allen of that shed. You know, Richard Allen convinced them he had already talked to and been cleared by law enforcement. Yes, and we're going to go over that here, and probably midway through the live stream. Let me see what I titled that folder. Oh, actually, that's the next folder. Titled Old BG No Longer a Suspect. Oh, that's weird. Let's pull that up. We've all seen the Monon High Bridge. We don't need to waste all day. So here's another 4chan from February 23rd, 2020. So somebody knew about Richard Allen. It says here, just because there was a video of Richard on the train tracks doesn't mean he did it. The cops are smart enough to know this and have probably interrogated him already. It was a dead end. Either that or he has connections. It was probably someone from out of town. Who knows, though? So who is writing all of this about Richard? Him being the one on the bridge. So somebody recognizes him. They recognize him and they're talking about him on social media. And also we heard from a YouTuber named Simon that somebody called in and was like, hey, what do you think about Richard Allen? I feel like it could be the same person, maybe. Maybe it's a friend and they have plausible deniability. You know, they just need one piece of information or somebody to help push them over that line. Like, yeah, obviously it's not him, right? And I think maybe Richard Allen played to that. Shows a level of sophistication, in my opinion. Him being so proactive. I don't quite think we know who we're dealing with. I don't even think the attorneys know who they're dealing with. He may have them convinced. I'm not sure. What's up, Miss Thang? Welcome in. Brad from outside of the grid. You guys got those floods under control or what? CJK says 4chan is odd. Oh, it's very odd. Yeah, this is not like some kind of family forum here. All right, let's see what else I got here in this folder titled Old BG No Longer a Suspect. Here's a video. It's titled Indiana State Police Clarify why they released the new sketch. Let's take a look.
Delphi murders investigation creating more questions in this small town.
They got
Real quick, can you guys hear this video? StreamYard's a little finicky from time to time. Hey, what's up, Jessica? Haven't seen you in a while. Welcome back. Silas. Thank you, Candace. Silas, Jessica. Appreciate that.
positive the first guy. Now they got a new guy.
State police believe this second sketch more accurately depicts Abby and Libby's killer. They just revealed it on Monday, but we're learning an artist drew it 2 years ago.
It's kind of all confusing to me right now.
Our partners at the Indy Star confirmed the artist drew this sketch 3 days after the bodies of Abby and Libby were found. In a statement today, state police said the first sketch released in 2017 was a person of interest, but now they say the new one more accurately represents the person wanted for murder. However, state police didn't answer our questions about why the department...
Why didn't, excuse me, why didn't they believe Betsy Blair? Miss Thang, I still wonder if it was Richard Allen who was the monster who took over Kathy Allen's brother's Facebook. I believe it was. They may have even found one of his old phones, maybe.
waited so long to release it.
If we have multiple witnesses describing different subjects, then it would be normal to have two different types of sketches.
Gil Zamora is a forensic sketch artist out of California, certified by the FBI. He has no ties to this case. In his experience, releasing a sketch 2 years after it's drawn is not common, but he sees how it can happen.
New information has come up that allows you to believe that maybe that information was more reliable than you thought.
ISP says this man represents the face of the person captured on Libby's cell phone. The agency also is not sharing specifics on why they're going with this sketch now.
It's just kind of crazy how it come up.
A community searching for answers on a man who may have never left Delphi. It's leaving some confused,
Creepy.
but hopeful they're closer to an arrest.
These babies need to rest in peace.
Yeah, so that was the new direction presser. Did you hear what he said? Gil Zamora. He said it's not common for them to do that, but he can see why they did. Something changed. What changed? We still haven't really learned what made Betsy so credible all of a sudden. What happened in 2019 that made what she said more credible? And what did they get wrong with the old looking sketch? I think what happened is they relied on the video and what they were seeing in the video. They tried to take all the eyewitness accounts and merge them into something. But I think they should have kept his face covered. To me, that's the best sketch that they have, and the one that the actual witnesses were leaning on. What's up, Rowing Now? I think law enforcement had problems with BB because the BG voice doesn't match a young person. That's a good point. And that could even explain why Doug Carter said may appear to be younger than his true age. So yeah, that's a very good point. And she was the only one describing the car parked at the CPS as being old school. Yeah, they didn't like that part, huh? It didn't fit their narrative, maybe. but it could be more important now. So that, to me, that tells me if they're more interested in her eyewitness account, then they should be equally as interested in the older model vehicle, right? Well, at least I am now, that's for sure. The only problem is we can't take the defense Frank's memo as factual at all. If anything, we have to expect that it's a lie because, like I've said over and over, we do investigate here on this channel. Our investigation has led us pretty deep into the factual parts of the defense leaked Frank's memo. We've communicated with one of their top suspects. You know, we're knee deep in what's going on, and anything that we've been able to verify has been false. They flat out lied and misled their viewers in every way, even with the Todd Click stuff. So unfortunately, we can't take any of that at face value. I wish that we could. I wanted to. But if you do your own due diligence and your own research, you'll find it for yourself. It's false. Thank you, Leslie. All right, let's continue on with old BG no longer a suspect. There are some information, interesting pieces of information here. This is from the Indy Star. Leslie, thank you for sponsoring today's live stream. Thanks, Corey. England. We have 2 sponsors. I appreciate you guys. Okay, so the Indy Star says here, the man depicted in the old sketch released to the public 2 years ago is no longer believed to be the person who killed teens Abigail Williams and Liberty German in Delphi, Indiana State Police said. So they're not spreading misinformation. And I don't know if I have the bulletin still. But the Friday before they did this 2019 New Direction Young Sketch presser, they put out a memo or something for the media. And it flat out says, hey, this guy is no longer a person of interest. Now, anybody who believed that the older sketch was Richard Allen is now relieved. Right? Waiting to exhale. So they get a moment in time where they get a little bit of relief from all of this. Was that the intention of law enforcement? To make him feel comfortable? And there's so much weird shit going on with this case. I think we're going to find out that there was a first for this investigation. Like what was going on with Keegan Kline, why they let him go for 3 years. I think we're going to find out that they were using him as bait. And I think it may have worked. So a lot of the strategy and a lot of things, you know, maybe a first ever for any investigation. Thank you, Carmel. Candace. I appreciate you guys. Leslie, Corey, Carmel, and Candace. Thank you for supporting the channel. Can't do it without you guys. Can't have grown man business and problems and play around on YouTube. It just doesn't work. Can't do it without you guys and your support. The man in the 2000 sketch was a person of interest in the investigation during that period, police said. See, that makes no sense. It's almost like they're saying, oh, we're no longer interested in you, Richard. Or they want him to think that. Now, that's no longer the case. Investigators believe the man shown in the sketch released during a press conference on Monday more accurately represents the person who killed the teens in February 2017, state police said in a news release on Wednesday. While both sketches were drawn in 2017, police clarified that the renderings are not the same person. Okay, so if you're the wife, neighbor, best friend, child, old school pal, you just exhaled. I told you it wasn't Ricky. I told you, Blanche. You guys didn't believe me. You went and told Simon that it was my best pal, Ricky. And you tipped him in. I told you not to. Look, right? Plausible deniability. Miss Thang with the 23-month flex. Best channel on these YouTube streets. Representing. Thank you, Miss Thang. Thank you, Candace. One thing I do is I hold it down. That's for sure. All right. Riley also said Wednesday that the original sketch released in the summer of 2017 showing a man with a goatee and a driving cap is not presently a person of interest in this investigation. According to an ISP release, the new sketch of the clean-shaven man is representative of the face of the person captured in the video on Liberty German's cell phone as he was walking on the High Bridge. Okay, so I wondered, did they have somebody working on the video and they got a clear shot? Did it have anything to do with the Hoosier Harvest Store video that was not mentioned in the Ron Logan affidavit, which leads me to believe that they did not have it in their possession or they did not provide it to the FBI because, you know, we know that that's who wrote the affidavit was the FBI. No mention of the Hoosier Harvest Store. And they got the time wrong. They said that Kelsey dropped the girls off closer to 1 o'clock. That was way off. Kelsey was more accurate in what she stated, which was, I think, 1:30 or 1:45, she said. Anywhere between around 1:45. So they obviously didn't have the Hoosier Harvest Store video at the time of the Ron Logan search because they would have known exactly when they were dropped off and they would have had a lot more, they would have had more information. So is that what happened? The Hoosier Harvest Store said, hey, we were able to find that video, or were they finally able to demand that video? Could that explain what they were saying? The identity of the driver, not the owner of the vehicle. Just very weird. The verbiage always threw me off. Exactly, Beach Ferry. So confusing. Okay, here's the bulletin. I do have it. Okay, now this is directly from Indiana State Police. And a lot of people are getting corruption confused with incompetence, really. So April 24th, I think that was the day of the new direction presser. Multi-agency task force clarifies points about the Delphi murder suspect sketches. Okay, so this must be 2 days after. I think the new direction presser might have been April 22nd. I could be wrong. If somebody could correct me on that. But just based on the title here, it sounds like it's after. Multi-agency task force clarifies points about the Delphi murder suspect sketches. So they probably got a whole bunch of emails and You said the 14th instead of the 13th, Doug, just little things, human error. Delphi, Indiana, in the early days and months of the Delphi murder investigation, information was developed about suspect descriptions. It was initially believed the sketch that has been in public view over the last 2 years of a person in the age range of his 40s to 50s, which matches with Richard Allen, was a person of interest in this murder investigation. Now, as the investigation has matured and past information has been reassessed, it is the belief of investigators with the multi-agency task force that the person depicted in the sketch released on April 22nd more accurately represents the person wanted for the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. So this is what I think about that. So if they're taking the sketch serious now, they didn't before, that means that they're taking the vehicle serious, right? Well, if there's a older model car, that doesn't match with our suspect Richard Allen, who we've been looking at since the beginning. I think that will be revealed to us in the end. Okay, well, if it's not him, we thought it was him. He was driving the black car. So we must be looking for a younger person in an older vehicle. That fits better with our timeline. And he must be the person that had his face covered passing the 3 young witnesses. So investigators are now going in a new direction. But they probably already had the Ford Focus. They already had Richard Allen. But now they're going in a new direction. Away from Richard Allen, it seems. Okay, they say here, it is important to distinguish these points about the 2 sketches. They are not the same person. The person depicted in the original release sketch is not presently a person of interest in this investigation, right? Wife, daughter, neighbors, friends, people he plays pool with at the hall, down at the pool hall. They all did what? I told you. I told you it wasn't Ricky. You didn't listen. Right, back to business as usual. The sketch released on April 22nd is representative of the face of the person captured in the video on Liberty German's cell phone as he was walking on the High Bridge. So what they're realizing, I think, right here, and it has been my theory for a long time, that he was done checking out and doing his recon on the bridge itself, or on the trail itself. Now, from his experience, he knows that there could be people on the south end. He knows there could be people under the bridge. He knows that there can be people down who went down on the south end and are now near the water, or even some of these homeowners. He has spent enough time there and has enough experience to know what to look for. So if he's feeling comfortable, down comes the face covering. Or he knows that his targets are getting close. I need a cigarette. It was that cigarette, I think, that eventually got him busted. And he is the young sketch. We know that he can look like a young person. Head up and in the right lighting. And right around 2 o'clock, the lighting is perfect right there. The person in the sketch released April 22nd is described as having a youthful appearance, which Richard Allen does in the certain lighting, but could fall in the age range from his 20s to late 30s, right? According to this witness and the sketch that she provided. This person could look different today if he has grown a mustache, a beard, or let his hair grow longer, or cut his hair shorter than depicted in the sketch. And we know after the crime, Richard Allen gained a lot of weight, kept his hair. It always seems to have been short, but I have a feeling he would let it go from time to time. After the murders, he seemed to keep it real short. His cheeks got real chubby. He made some changes. So I'm thinking he may have had a drug problem at the time. That's what it looks like. Go look at the December 2016 images from his wife's Facebook of him playing pool. This dude is skin and bones. So that means if it is him on the bridge, he's layered up, right? He has a hoodie on over who knows what, and then his large blue jacket over the hoodie, and then maybe even a bag over his shoulder or something stuffed in his pockets. Members of the Delphi community should reflect back on people they know in the community that look similar to the sketch released on April 22nd, especially if that person has changed their appearance since the murders.
Tonight in the Delphi murder case, investigators still trying to figure out who killed Libby German and Abby Williams 2 years ago. And tonight, police are providing more clarification about that latest sketch from the suspect.
Yeah, tonight at 11 o'clock, our own Emily Longnecker explains what police want the public to really know about this case. Emily?
Well, Andrea and Scott, the sketch released on Monday is the person investigators are looking for. He's the man police believe killed the two girls. Now, let's take a look at that sketch. Again, it's right here. Police say this is the face of the man captured on Libby German's cell phone video walking on the bridge. This other sketch released 2 years ago when the investigation first started is not who police are looking for now. This person is not considered a person of interest in the case.
So if anybody was thinking about tipping in Richard Allen and thought this was a sketch of him, they just exhaled. They're feeling very relieved.
Case, and police say the two sketches are not of the same man. Investigators say the guy in this newer sketch may have a youthful appearance, but could be in his 20s to late 30s. They caution, though, he could look different now if he's grown a mustache, beard, or changed his hair in any way. But this is the sketch police want you to focus.
Now, remember, the witness saw him out on this platform here, right smack dab directly under the sun's rays. Here, let me show you what I'm talking about. Hather's Mirror, do you think Rick's daughter could have had something to do with his arrest? Yeah, I think it is possible. I do. There's a lot of rumors going locally about that being a possibility. Okay, so remember, these photos are from the same day. This is December of 2016. The murders of Abby and Libby will take place less than 2 months from this photo. This is also the same day he was flopping around like a fish. And it's also the same day that his wife stated, and we haven't been drinking at all. First time she did karaoke, though. So I'm thinking maybe some drug use. Possibly. Kind of thinking of some of the details that might come out after the fact. Thank you for that 5-month flex, Hathers. So we got old man sketch here, right? Head covering, older appearance, facial hair. Oops, sorry. It's not where I want it to go. There it is. Okay. So now picture Richard Allen with his face directly into the sun, head up, smoking a cigarette with his head covering. Probably the same one he's wearing right there. Looks like a young man. Can't even see his facial hair. Cindy Lean, good to see you. 12-month flex. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sleuth, and my wonderful Sleuth crew. Good to see you, Cindy. All right, guys, let's hear it. Is this not true? Why is everybody ignoring this part? Whenever I bring this up, nobody talks about it. Same day. Here, I'll put them side by side. Doesn't even look, it looks like father and son. You're up, Dad. Okay, my 21-year-old son. Old man, old sketch, young sketch. Because you have to take into consideration where the young sketch comes from. It comes from Betsy Blair, and she witnessed him while he was on the bridge under the sunlight. Mask off. Most likely smoking his cigarette. You can't smoke a cigarette with your mask on. And if you've already walked the entirety of the trail, you know nobody's really around. You're not expecting Betsy to just pop out of nowhere. But you turn around, and maybe he didn't even see her. But I think that he did. Same day, same person. But look how slim he is. Skin and bones. Let's see if we got him flopping like a fish. And I have no evidence of drug use. It's just a stupid theory from an untrained person. It's just my observation. It's just what I feel like I'm seeing. Okay, now remember, they're not drinking. There's the young sketch.
Dance, baby!
Lordy Lord. Quite a flopper. Quite a flip-flopper. What's up, Kirsten? Let's go to Mustang. I think Richard Allen looks like the first sketch. I think law enforcement put out the younger sketch to make Richard Allen feel like he was safe. I don't know. I feel like it was almost as if here I feel like we need to hold your hand. People aren't understanding what we mean by this person changed his appearance or whatever. Let us give you a before and after. But honestly, it could just be that they messed up. They were throwing out a Hail Mary. And you have a side that hopes that law enforcement is doing a good job. And then you have a side that knows that they're not and that they're likely just corrupt. The truth is always somewhere in the middle. What's up, Kristen? Behind the Crime Door. Another great channel. Hi, Carrie. Miracle Hearts, welcome in. Silas, always good to have you in here. And he absolutely did change his appearance. Remember the CVS photo that I found? Where he's walking outside of the CVS. It was on some property webpage. Well, if you zoom in on him, he's got this huge goatee. His head is shaved, bald. And he ain't skinny anymore. So if he was on drugs, committed a murder, he may have stopped doing them as like, hey, that's why I did it. I was high on something that day. Good night, Cindy. Always good to see you. Good to see you, Kristen. Miss Thang says, hit the like button. Chico says, if his daughter was convinced of his innocence, Baldwin would absolutely make sure she was in that courtroom. I don't know if he could make her. I think she would be willing to if he asked her to. But I don't know. Something's up. Some of these things you're just going to have to be patient for once there's a conviction or if he's released for whatever reason, it doesn't mean that he's innocent. It means that they're, back to the drawing board. They may have been pressured to arrest him. The unspent bullet was making its way into the public domain. So no matter what, even if they can't convict him this time, they have his gun completely documented. He didn't have the opportunity to destroy it. So if anything, there are some positives from it all. That he didn't get the opportunity to destroy the weapon that was so important to them. But I still feel like they were pushed by news outlets and people like Julie Melvin and some YouTubers who were putting out that information. Because right when that information went public, it wasn't even a month later that you had Richard Allen in custody. Yeah, that's a good point, Chicos. No mention of the daughter, the husband. So it's very possible that they provided some information or they're going to be witnesses somehow. I'm not sure. Yeah, he looks way younger in the certain lighting. And we now know that Betsy Blair saw him out on the bridge, about 50 yards out onto that first platform. He admits to being there. So that tells me the lighting is 100% different right there. It's much better to get a look at him. And it's just unfortunate that he looks so young just by lifting his head and having direct light coming from above him. It makes him look like a younger person. So maybe knowing that and hearing his voice, combining that together, they said, well, this person could look a lot younger than their actual age. I just feel like law enforcement's trying to hold our hand the whole way, and sometimes they just yank us without knowing in the wrong direction because we lean on what they say so much, and we shouldn't. Definitely take it into consideration. Take everything into consideration. Andy says, something that always confused me was the witness that said purple PT Cruiser, TW is a car guy and plays pool at JC's and in pics with Richard Allen and Kathy Allen. Wouldn't he know a black Ford and his friend's car? I don't know. They had two cars. Maybe they went to the bar in the Chrysler. Was it a Chrysler 500? Yep, definitely. Rowing Now says, never seen someone dance like they were having an exorcism performed on them, like Richard Allen. To me, that looked like a lot of energy balled up. A lot of balled up, crazy energy. Thank you, Kristen. All right, let's get back to it. I think there was a couple more pieces of information there that I wanted to talk about. Not sure why I have this in here. We're going to skip this, but we'll just look at it briefly. 5 women who unknowingly married serial killers. They had no idea they were sleeping next to complete monsters. Serial killers are master manipulators and experts at hiding in plain sight. Where have we heard that before? Many have the ability to live double lives for years without getting caught. Some even settle down with partners and have children, all while continuing to commit unspeakable crimes under the facade of having a normal family. Usually, the people who end up marrying serial killers have no idea they're sleeping next to monsters, and their partner's sadistic behavior can go completely unnoticed. Even for many of the wives of history's grisliest murderers, their husbands' arrests came as total shock. Here are 5 women who unknowingly married serial killers: Paula Rader, Linda Yates, Julie Baumeister, Judith Mawson, that's the Green River Killer right there, killed over 100 people. Ted Bundy helped with a profile on him. They made the Silence of the Lambs movie based on their interaction. Loosely, of course. Carol Hoff. Crazy. And this looks like the last piece in this folder. So this is a Facebook post from somebody that Richard Allen was playing pool with. And I think he posted this in 2017. He writes here, Channel 6, you need to let everybody know they have talked to this man and released him. WTHR updates this a while ago. See, so this potentially could have been somebody with some good, helpful information, but on the fence, right? It can't be Rick. It can't be. I mean, look at him. He's just so short. The guy on the bridge is like 6 feet at least. But people forget that they are super zoomed in on that guy. And the angle is from a young girl, about 5'2", 5'3", who is off of the bridge about a foot down. I call it the Tom Cruise effect. I mean, Tom Cruise is 5'5", 5'6", same as Richard Allen. But when you get that camera angle down, easily put him around 5'10", 6 foot. But he also says he went to police, they have released him, and he is not a suspect. People know that the bridge guy is Richard Allen. They just don't understand why they keep saying that the bridge guy is the killer. It's very confusing to them, but they have enough to deny it. And I've showed you that. I've proven that they have plausible deniability. It's not their fault. It's human nature, right, to search for reasons why your friend is not a double killer. Okay. So now we're on to Patrick Westfall. Patrick Westfall, somebody mentioned by the defense team recently, but we've known about Patrick Westfall since 2017. We know he's connected with Brad Holder. We know he was his buddy. And we also know that online, this dude has a rat. He looks like a monster. He looks like a racist agitator. So to me, he would be an easy person to try to pin it on. Now we know why they didn't try to pin it on Ron Logan or Keegan Kline, because Aki and Rosie were representing those two. I mean, they would be asking for trouble if they went after Ron Logan or Keegan Kline. How are you going to go after somebody that you represented? Well, we can't do that, right, Baldwin? Nope, I'm still working on the leaks, so I'll get back to you. How are you feeling about the Brad Holder, Patrick Westfall? Yeah, we got to go that route. So I'm going to be right back, guys. Give me a minute. All righty. Yeah, it could be tattoo. What's up, Sterling? Nerdy Cat, welcome in. Nerdy Cat says, I've often wondered if he wanted to join the Odinist group. but may have been turned down. He may have tried to stage the scene to pin it on them. Just a thought. I mean, there's so many different theories. There's just not a whole lot of evidence. When it comes to Richard Allen, there's a handful, real legitimate pieces of information, witnesses, physical evidence, self-incriminating evidence, and then probably a whole lot of unknown stuff that we don't know about because the prosecution doesn't want to talk about it. They're waiting for trial, and the defense isn't going to speak on it if it's harmful to their client. Sterling says, where is his poofy hair at? Could be just his head covering. A sketch is not a photograph. It's a memory that you're not supposed to have. It's a memory that you're not supposed to remember. Think about all the people you pass throughout your day. You're not supposed to remember any of those folks. And now you're being asked to remember them? Maybe the curly hair was just his beanie. Thank you, Leslie. Yeah, if you guys could hit the thumbs up. No, you don't. He's joking. He says, please be quiet. Original Badass, what's up? I just don't believe this is going to go to trial. He staged the scene, in my opinion. He did. He did. It would have been a lot easier for his defense team to go after a Ron Logan or a Keegan Kline, but they can't because their firm is the same firm that represented those two. They're doing, it's business. It's all business. That's all it is. And unfortunately, it's at Richard Allen and the victim's family's expense. And, well, in literally Indiana's. I don't know, Cheeks. There was nothing normal about that. The way he was flopping around like that, I don't know. That's weird. Now, if he was just doing a little shimmy, like, hey, swinging his hands back and forth to the music, that'd be different. But this dude was flopping around like he was letting out some pent up energy. But that's just my opinion. You might be spot on. Don Spain, what about Double Jeopardy? They have a chance to get this right. Well, double Jeopardy doesn't include new evidence. So let's say they let him off or charges are dismissed. They can still find new information and get a new witness and then recharge him. Andy says he never had hair long enough for any of those sketches except head covered totally. And we don't know that. He could have missed a haircut or two. Hathers. People going fishing, watching fish, buying fish. What the heck? Thank you. What's up, Jill? The TW, I don't know who TW is. Thank you, Hathers. Oh, BTK. A real nightmare. Koberger on steroids. Leslie says, "Yep, Tom Cruise is 5'7". In the movies, he looks like he's 6 foot." J. Doe. I don't think Richard Allen is bridge guy. Not one person who worked with him said he walked like him or went to police, right? Were you not watching the live stream? I just spent 30 minutes showing you that his friends said he was the bridge guy. People are going on 4chan saying Richard is the bridge guy. Everybody thought he was the bridge guy. So what are you talking about? The only problem was investigators were giving them a reason to deny it, saying he's no longer the person. He's no longer a person of interest. Now we're looking for this young guy, not the older sketch. And everybody said, well, the older sketch is the guy on the bridge, right? See, and that's the problem, guys. You can put information and facts right in front of somebody. You can put it right in their face. No. And they just wipe it away from their memory. It's very strange. You're still going on about that? Not one fellow employee recognized his voice or his gait. You must have just jumped in. You're just here to troll. It's always, oh, I love your channel, by the way. Man, I can always see him slithering in. They always come with a smile, right? And without God's wisdom, you won't see it coming. Satan always comes as an angel of light. Here I am to save the day. Second you get close enough, the venom is in the blood. What's up, Dead Sea Steve? Hey, Richard. With McClellan adding 2 separate murder charges, it seems McClellan is confident he can prove that Allen killed them. I don't think he's confident that he can prove Allen killed them. I think he's confident that he can prove that he's the guy on the bridge. And without his interaction, they would still be living. And that's the point I'm trying to make, is that they can prove he's the bridge guy. So it doesn't matter what theories go out there. All they're going to say is, okay, you just proved that it was an Odinist ritualistic killing. Okay, so which part did Richard Allen play? Obviously, he played the part of getting him off the bridge and down to the scene. Okay, thanks for investigating the other half for us. They're just there to prove he's the bridge guy. Okay, J-Do. That's what I thought. Either you just showed up or you're here to troll. So you might be on the replay. And one thing that stood out to me instantly was the defense trying to tie in the Flora fires. I said, okay, that's why they're bringing up Patrick Westfall. Patrick Westfall has always been this name that came up tying Delphi and Flora together. Could they be connected? 100%. Is there evidence of that? Is Patrick Westfall living near the Flora crime scene during that crime and then moving to Delphi, which is like 11 miles away, moving to Delphi, and then now there's a double homicide there just a few months later? That's it. Does that make him a murderer? No. Is it suspicious and interesting? Yes. It makes it more interesting if they can prove that there was a ritual killing that took place in Delphi. But they can't do that. But this photo here is taken in Delphi at Westfall's location. He's told us that. He came on the channel and said, yep, that's my backyard right there. That's where we do our ceremonies, our blots, our this or that. So when it comes to these gentlemen, all I'm saying is there's just not a whole lot of hard evidence. Okay, he lived there. He lived there. He's with Brad Holder. Like, it's all tying together. Brad Holder's son dated Abby. So when you start stacking it like that, it just seems very convincing, but there's really nothing solid there. When you pan over to Richard Allen, you say, okay, he's putting himself at the crime scene. Investigators are trying to convince me that his bullet was found right between the girls. Okay, if you can do anything like that with any of these gentlemen, you'll have my attention. But just getting all excited, he lived right there by Flora and he moved to Delphi. What do you mean? He's guilty. Like, if you can convince somebody like that, there's people out there that will go and try to hurt somebody because of it. So before you get all Hitler and you start riling up your cult, try to have a little bit of factual information, because we can't believe anything in the defense memo. We've already proven that, guys. It's not gospel. This is actually an exhibit that will be presented in court. Cutting runes, right? So thanks to a lot of weirdos on YouTube, we now know what they mean by tool marks. And those are not tool. Well, I guess it is nature's tool, teeth marks. We know there's all kinds of beavers there chewing through trees. It was not a clean cut. It was chewed through. So we asked Patrick Westfall, hey, man, what are you doing here? The defense team's telling us that you're cutting these long sticks so that you can perform a ritual and create runes out of it. He said, no, that's not what I'm doing. He says he's cutting discs out of them, coins, and then they're writing runes on those coins. So now if you found something like that at the crime scene placed, well, that's solid right there. This dude would be arrested. But that's not what's going on here. This is another reason they'll never take this into a trial room, because then they're going to have to call Brad Holder. They're going to have to call Patrick Westfall. What were you doing here, sir? Well, this is what I was doing. Well, that's not what the defense team's saying. Well, it's because the defense team's lying. Another reason I believe that they're never planning to go to trial. All right. It looks like we, let's see. I don't know if we want to go through that. If you guys want to watch my interview with Patrick Westfall, I have a phone call, a recorded call, and an interview with him. You guys can go back and watch that if you want to. Let's go here to Patrick Westfall being mentioned in the leaked Frank's memo. In 2019, Unified Command learned that in a totally different conversation with his ex-wife, Brad Holder pointed the finger away from himself and directly at Patrick Westfall as being the person actually responsible for the murders of Abby and Libby. Right? So does that mean that Brad Holder may have had something to do with it? It's possible. Maybe you had Brad Holder, this Messer character, Elvis Fields, and Richard Allen all down there doing something, being a bunch of idiots that they were. For the information that we got from Patrick Westfall is that this Messer guy was just, he wasn't like a full-fledged member of their group or their gang or whatever, their club, the Vinlanders. He was a prospect. So if he's told to kick rocks, maybe he's running around still acting like he's part of the gang. You guys, you idiots want to be part of my gang. We got to go do an initiation. So like I said, there's the possibility of partial truths hidden in all of this. They might be getting part of it right. According to police reports, Brad Holder told his ex-wife Amber Holder that Westfall and his people killed Abigail Williams and Liberty German because one of their mothers was mixing with other people outside of the mother's race Furthermore, Unified Command was aware that Brad Holder had told Amber, "I can only protect you so much if you keep asking questions." Now, the reason that they brought up this whole mixing with other races, and the reason that the defense jumped on this, is because of Patrick Westfall's history, and it leans towards a motive in the Flora fires that they have no evidence other than the fact that he lived in Flora when it happened. That's literally it, and that his kids went to school with the girls. Is that suspicious? If it's a start, right? It's not good, but there's nothing there. But that's why they're going in this direction. This is all glue for their theory. It's more paste. It's not really glue. Unified Command was aware that Brad Holder had told Amber that "I can only protect you so much if you keep asking questions." Brad Holder further told his ex-wife Amber that Patrick Westfall had many people backing him up, and that Westfall also had powerful friends. Leggett knew of his information for more than 3 years before Leggett sought a search warrant for Richard Allen's house. Yet Leggett never shared that information with Judge Diener. Additionally, Westfall provided a very weak alibi as to his whereabouts on February 13th, 2017. Westfall told law enforcement that he, Westfall, was at home the afternoon of Monday, February 13th, 2017. The defense is unaware of any search warrant that Leggett sought to enter Westfall's house, or whether Unified Command instructed law enforcement to knock on a single neighbor's door to verify Westfall's alibi. I mean, they didn't do that with a lot of people they questioned. So here was the Flora arson, and Westfall lived right up the street. And a lot of people assume that the Flora arson fire was racially motivated. I just don't know if that's what happened. We know that it was started on purpose. Somebody walked in there, threw an accelerant on the floor, and killed those girls. Now, is it Patrick Westfall because he lives here, and now he's being added to your confirmation bias by what you call a professional source or a professional outlet, like the defense team, by a group of professionals? Something that you knew all along, right? I've known this all along. I knew it was him, and he did the Delphi stuff, right? Confirmation bias, more confirmation on that, with no actual proof. There's Holder and Westfall at the Delphi address. It's an old photo of Patrick. Sorry. Here's a video from, I think this was Brad Holder's Facebook. So right there, he's about 6'5", at least a good 250 here. Obviously, he could handle 2 young girls on his own, but he's way too tall to be the bridge guy. I mean, he could have probably carried both them girls.
All right.
This is from the memo, leaked memo as well. A Patrick Westfall Facebook post from just 2 months before the girls are murdered shows Westfall cutting tree limbs into ruins by slicing the tree limb with an electric saw, creating clean, smooth edges to the tree limb. See, now this is why they wanted to leak. Usually you wouldn't see a defense team wanting crime scene photos out there because it will hurt your case. But with the case of Richard Allen, everybody already believes he's the bridge guy. So in this case, it's not going to hurt anything. You know, they don't have anybody's sympathy at this point. But if they can make this Frank's memo appear to be true, it would help them. It would help Richard Allen. So if you tell a story about Patrick Westfall cutting ruins without giving the full story, says here, by cutting ruins, by slicing the tree limb with an electric saw. So they're making you think that he's cutting these long pieces so that they can make runes to place over their victims. But that's not what was happening. They were cutting coin-sized chips, basically like little poker chips with runes on them. Nothing like that was found at the crime scene. At the scene, one of the tree limbs placed on Abby has its end sliced. See, and this is a bold-faced lie. And thanks to some scummy YouTubers, we all know that because they're blasting the crime scene photos all over the place. And it says sliced cleanly and smoothly. That's another bold-faced lie. You can clearly see that it was cut by an animal using its teeth, just like what you can find near the crime scene, all around it, near the water's edge. And they say here, similarly to the way that Patrick Westfall is slicing the tree limbs in Exhibit 98. So look how misleading that is. So we have a person, because of our investigative work, we now know was cutting poker chip type pieces from this tree limb, sawing them, and then putting runes, burning them into the wood. Here, they want to paint a picture that they cut these tree limbs, pre-selected them, cut them, and brought them with them to this ritual. When clearly you can see that it was chewed through. Just another example of how you can't believe anything that was put inside this document. Okay, some more information put within the leaked Frank's memo. Patrick Westfall's connection to the crime scene. Much of what connects Patrick Westfall to the crime scene has been discussed in the section detailing what connected Brad Holder to the crime scene. To shorten this section, the defense will numerically lay out both the evidence previously discussed as well as a few other pieces of evidence that tie Westfall to the crime scene. Okay, so this would be the information presented during trial. Patrick Holder and Patrick Westfall were friends at least until late January 21st, 2017, as proven by Facebook photo previously attached. So yes, could they have committed those murders and said, hey, we can't be friends anymore. We got to kind of separate. That way we don't get busted. Could they have done that? Yes. Is there any evidence of that? Absolutely not. However, according to Amber Holder and law enforcement monitoring Facebook posts between Holder and Westfall, a fight between Brad Holder and Patrick Westfall occurred sometime in February 2017 concerning a ritual gone bad in the woods near a creek. See, now knowing that we can't trust anything that's said within here, it's just the wording. There's no way they're going to go into a courtroom and repeat this shit. Did Brad Holder tell Amber Holder this? I believe 100% that he did. Does Brad Holder look suspicious as a possible suspect? Yeah, but it sounds like he has an alibi. And once again, what's his connection to Richard Allen? Because the prosecution plans to prove that he's the bridge guy. If he's the bridge guy, how is he tied in with Brad Holder? Furthermore, as referenced in the Odin report, Brad Holder told Amber Holder that Patrick Westfall is dangerous and had powerful friends that will protect him, and that she, Amber Holder, needs to back off and will not be able to protect her. So it's my understanding he was drunk when he told her this. I believe that he did say these things, but it sounds like he's trying to scare her away. Brad Holder told law enforcement that Patrick Westfall has post-traumatic distress disorder, PTSD. Well, he should know that he's a war veteran. They both have it, I'm sure. The video or the ritual in Fort Wayne that Ferenczi sent, and we've watched that video. You go back to previous, I think it was the first video, part 1. We showed that video when we were going over Brad Holder. Okay, so they're talking more about the video here. It says Leggett, in which he had been attached to an exhibit, shows Brad Holder videotaping someone that looks like Patrick Westfall. Because of our work, we know for a fact it is Patrick Westfall. He told us it was him in the video. Using his finger to mark. So he's not using his finger to mark anything. So here's another lie. And you can go see the video for yourself. He obviously has something in his hand. And he told us he was wedging an object within the bark as high as he could reach. And that's what the video appears to be. Right? So doing our own due diligence here on the Sleuth Intuition channel, we clarified that this is another lie. Saying using his fingers to mark a tree in the ceremony at about the same height that the F tree was marked. Another bold-faced lie. The F tree was marked about 4 feet up. And I do find it interesting that they're admitting that the F tree is something that was rubbed onto the tree by somebody's hand. Right? That's what they're trying to say here. Marked with Libby's blood. Well, she was just attacked to the neck and had blood on her hands. Of course, if you have something that appears to be a handprint right above her, a victim with bloody hands, to me that's common sense, guys. You've all seen Libby's tree. You've all seen it. Only people in denial and who have confirmation bias are going to say that it's this or that. Patrick Westfall lives within a 7-minute drive of where the girls were murdered. Maybe even closer. But I think everybody that lives in Delphi is within 7 minutes. So that would include, well, I guess what? Richard Allen lived 1 minute then? Johnny Messer and Brad Holder commonly hung out at the Monon High Bridge and in the woods around the Monon High Bridge. See, I don't know if that's true. I think this is another false statement here. And in my interview, I did ask this question, is this true? And I believe the answer was no, but they do hang out at a nearby park. Canal Park, I believe, is what it's called. Patrick Westfall also admitted that he knew the woods around the Monon Trail very well. Like, where did they get that information from? A Patrick Westfall Facebook post from just 2 months before the girls were murdered shows Westfall cutting tree limbs into runes by slicing the tree limb with an electric saw, creating clean, smooth edges to the tree limb. Here, look at the crime scene photo that I'm going to leak. So let me leak this information, and then when you get the leaked crime scene photos, it'll all make sense to you. All my lies will look like truths. In that Facebook post, Brad Holder is commenting, cutting runes. Yeah, small disc-shaped ones, not long sticks. See, it's just dishonest. And this is what the defense team is supposed to be doing. It's you as the viewer and you as the interested party not to eat it up, right? And that's all Patrick Westfall was a giant block of cheese for these fucking rats. Now, could it turn out to be true? Yes, very possible. But nothing that's been provided to the public leads me personally to believe that. But anybody who was already leaning towards that, who was already talking about these people, is all too willing to take a big bite out of that cheese. It's just confirmation bias. It's a very good example. Westfall's alibi for February 13, 2017 is that on the day of the abduction, he was at home with his son, Nick. There is no evidence that law enforcement knocked on doors to determine if Patrick Westfall was at home at that time, nor any evidence that law enforcement walked around the neighborhood to see if... See, this is ridiculous. They didn't do that with a lot of people. Now, if there was a witness that said, hey, I saw Patrick Westfall at the trail, then you would expect them to do other things, right? I know I would. But they have to create a straw man before you can go tear it apart. Before you can scare the crows, you have to build the scarecrow or something. Patrick Westfall and Brad Holder were both affiliated with the Vinlanders Club or gang, along with Johnny Messer. So that's another lie. Holder and Johnny Messer were wanting to be part of the gang, but I believe Patrick Westfall is the only actual gang member. I think he said made man is what the words he used. On March 2nd, 2017, only 16 days after the girls were found murdered, Unified Command member Kevin Hammond indicated that there was no lead required concerning Patrick Westfall, meaning no further need to investigate Patrick Westfall. Okay. Here's a quick screenshot of what they're talking about. Does this look like 4 feet to you? Remember, this dude's like 6'5". He's very tall. So not only is he not at the 4 feet mark, which is consistent with Liberty, if she was leaning against the tree, trying to understand what's going on with her body, having one of the major arteries just been opened wide up. She's going to need to lean against something, and then moments later, her life is gone. She's going to fall back, most likely with the same hand that she was leaning on the tree with, is now going to fall with her and land upward. It happens quick, guys. Within 2 minutes, she was gone. Yeah, it's more like 7 feet. So just lies after lies, misrepresentations, embellishments. Nothing. And one thing you'll see is a group of people who are eating at this block of cheese like it's like their life depends on it. And they're using this as a reason to say Richard Allen could be innocent when it's all garbage. Yeah, it's more like 8 feet. It is. And I expect them to do that. Rowing, I expect them to do it. What I don't expect is for everybody to eat it up. Like, you have to take your personal responsibility for that. And that goes for what the prosecution is putting out. But the prosecution has to go through a process. The defense can put out any bullshit they want if they never plan to go to trial. Because you can't prove that they're lying. How are you going to prove that they're lying if there's never a trial? they are working the system very well. They're doing great things for their business interests. What they're not doing is any favors for Richard Allen or the state of Indiana. Definitely not for the victims' families. And we know if Richard Allen is proven to be this killer, he showed no sympathy whatsoever. Not 1 ounce. He'll have to make a deal after doing that shit. Okay. So I'm not going to pull up Pat Brown's images or information, but we can talk about him briefly. Now, Pat Brown is one of the folks that actually came across the crime scene, first people to report it, to say, hey, I found the girls. I think he even went and checked one of the girls' pulse. Later on, either that day or the following day, Mike Patty confronted Patrick Westfall at his home, according to what we hear during Hannah Shakespeare's or Julie Melvin's notes for her part in the Lost documentary that Hannah made. We know that Mike Patty showed up at Pat Brown's home, demanding to know exactly what he saw at the crime scene, word for word, right? And people suspected Pat Brown for a while because, I mean, if you are guilty, that's kind of a brilliant thing to do, right? You commit a murder and then you find the crime scene. You go run over there and put your DNA all over everything. Put your scent, put your mark, your footprints. So I think it was okay that people were suspecting him. Ron Logan's neighbor. Also, his vehicle can be seen on the RTV6 footage. One of the first vehicles parked at the cemetery. So he's very familiar with that area. You know, he lives right there, not far away from where the girls were found. So I can see him getting it in his mind like, okay, the sun's up. I'm going to go recheck that area down there because I know that you can go down the bridge and you can end up right below the cemetery. So as soon as the sun came up, it appears that Patrick Brown went down there. I don't know if it's Pat or Patrick. Pulls into the cemetery. He's the first vehicle in there. All the other search vehicles that came after the 911 call that the girls were found showed up and were behind him and basically blocked him in. And he pulled all the way up to where the trail starts and he went down there. So he probably had a hunch using his knowledge, most likely hunting back there. Guarantee he's hunted back there before. And he said, I'm going to go back there and look. Because when they went searching through here, it was nighttime. I bet you I'm going to go back here and find something. Sure enough, he finds the girls. And when he finds them, Kelsey and a few other people are across the creek on the private drive. And they're kind of seeing his activity over there. He kicked up 2 deer. They took off running. And he's like, over here, over here. And that's at this point is when they see the girls. CJK says Pat was a POI. Yeah. I mean, he still could be a person of interest. But I'm sure they took his DNA, polygraph, all that. Lisa's asking, what is going to be so different than we imagined that DC referenced? Well, it's if it has anything to do with Richard Allen, it's completely different. There's a big part of this that we don't know. Thank you, Rowing. Welcome in, Chelsea. Good to see you, Dawn. So the next folder is going to be the probable cause affidavit and the information withheld in there. And we're going to start that on the next on part 7. And members, we had to reschedule yesterday, so the members meeting is going to be here within about an hour. But I got to get some food in my belly, go take a quick walk, and we'll continue this. So justice for Abby and Libby, I believe, is coming. Keep sharing that hashtag. Keep sharing the good memories of those girls in any of the cases that you cover. Let's just try to show a little bit of respect, if possible. And if you don't, oh well, I just won't watch you guys anyway. It's that simple. We don't stop in traffic to confront the crackheads and tell them what they're doing is wrong. We roll up the window. Take care, guys. Thank you for watching the Sleuth Intuition channel. If you are part of the replay crew, you know what to do. Drop a comment and let me know what you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay in the loop. Sleuth Intuition is 100% crowd-funded. If you want to support me and help my channel grow, here are 3 ways that you can help. Number 1, Cash App. The funds go directly to me without YouTube taking a percentage. Number 2, become a member. Members are by far the leading contributors to my channel. Number 3, hit up the merch shop. Represent the sleuth crew on these ruthless streets. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the Sleuth Intuition channel. I'm your host, Patrick Vallejos. Until next time.